ones.
Awesome. All right. Let me get this. Okay, that's good. Do, 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 do. I had to turn my heater on finally. I got too cold sitting here.
Oh. Yeah,
Because
it's
usually,
getting cold here. It's like I hate being cold. I don't like being extremely cold or extremely hot, but I'd rather be cold than hot. I can't do hot.
yeah, it's because to me, it's one of those deals where it's like I can handle being cold because I can continue to put layers on. Once you're hot, you can
Yeah.
only take so much off. Like you
Uh-huh.
can't. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I think I'm good on that one. So, but awesome. So we are live, and if you're ready, I will do the intro, and we'll jump into it.
Cool. You'll bring me on.
You're already on, so wait,
Oh,
I'll just kind of do an intro, and we'll jump into it.
oh, cool. Okay, cool.
Cool. All right. Cool. Good. All right, awesome. Welcome everybody to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. It is day 2 of our 25 days of Christmas. It is a series that I've wanted to do for a few years now, but never really had the tenacity to get it set up and finish it and all that fun stuff. So here we are. I finally felt like I was in the right place to get everything going, and we've got our second guest, Demi Michelle. How's it going today, Demi?
Hi, I'm doing fantastic. I hope you're doing well too. I cannot believe that it's December 1st. That is insane to me. This year flew.
It really did. It did. I have no other words for it. It's just one of those things where this year was really good in a lot of ways and really bad in a lot of other ways. Um, but it's all about growth and all that fun stuff. So I'm just
Mhm.
glad glad we're kind of getting to the end of it, and we're gonna see what 2023 has to offer.
For sure.
So
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, before we kind of jump into everything, I know you just released a Christmas song. What was that, last Friday?
Yeah. Yep.
Last Friday. That's how that math works. You just released a new song last Friday, and we'll definitely jump in and chat about it a little bit. But I do want to congratulate you. When we had you on the Pan Can fundraiser, you were talking about you were in the process of writing a novel for what was it? Novel
National
something.
Novel Writing Month. Yeah.
Yep, National Novel Writing Month. And you finished your novel, correct?
Yeah, I just finished it yesterday. I wrote every single day in November, 30 days straight, and I finished the whole book, and it is 73,311 words.
How many pages does that equate to? Or does
Um,
it kind of depend on like the formatting of the book?
I'm not sure in pages because I haven't put in all the chapters in one document yet, but it's probably like in the high end of 200, low end of 300.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I've always been interested in the idea of writing a book, but it's just when I see big numbers like, oh, it's got to be 10,000, 20,000 words, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of words. And then I sit down and write, and I like write for a day, and I've got like 1,500 words down, and I'm like, man, I'm never gonna make it. It's just not gonna happen because I'm starting to like ramble and make no sense and all this stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, it was
uh,
fun. I'm really happy I did it, and I'm very proud of myself that I ended up finishing the whole book because it was a crazy ride, but I'm happy it's over because in December I'm planning on chilling.
nice. What's the plan with the novel? Are you gonna publish it, or are you gonna just kind of get it together
Yeah.
and see kind of where it sits?
So the goal is to publish. I actually have two other manuscripts that I wrote when I was in graduate school that
Hmm.
I'm currently querying to literary agents. I haven't gotten an agent yet, but like I think it's really important to just keep writing and keep trying. So this project, if one of the first two don't get an offer, this is going to be the next project that I try to get an agent with. So right now I'm just gonna let it sit for a little while. I don't want
Hmm.
to look at it anymore right now, but in a couple months I'm going to revisit it and see if any revisions need to be made.
Yeah, I think that's important. Just you went so hard at it, and throughout the month of November, and it's written, it's complete. Just kind of give it some time, just to kind of go back and read it, and take a break
Mhm.
from the whole
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Um, so it really hasn't been that long since we've had you on. I would say actually it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since we've had you on the podcast, which is weird. And for people that are, it's one of those things where it's such a weird stretch of time because only been 2 weeks, but it's probably been maybe 40 podcast interviews in between then and now because we did the fundraiser thing, and yeah, so it was interesting. Which I do really appreciate you jumping on that, and it made it all the better because, it was fun just bringing in all these different musicians that I've met
Mhm.
throughout my time doing the podcast over the last 6.5 years. Wow, 6.5 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but I once again I do really appreciate you and your support and all that stuff. Um, how did you feel that the from like just I don't know how much of it you actually got to sit down and watch. How did you feel that it went from like a viewer's perspective or a
Yeah, no,
participant's?
I think it went amazing, and I actually did, like, as soon as I woke up, like, that morning, I hopped on and I watched a couple of the artists, and I watched them after me as well just to show support to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, it was so awesome seeing, like, all the posts, seeing everybody sharing it, and seeing, like, your updates throughout. I think it went really well, and I'm so honored I got to be part of it this year because I saw it when you did it last year, and I think that's around the time when I first discovered Live and Amplified, and I was like, "Oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
really cool." And so, like, keeping up with everything that you've done, like, I was really excited when you mentioned that you were doing it again. So I
Yeah.
think it went amazing, and congratulations on another year.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something that we're going to continue doing. I've already been reached out to by PanCan and their organization, um, like literally the day after the stream, they messaged me and asked me how things went, and I met or emailed them, and I was like, give me like a week to kind of process everything, and I'll kind of like slowly write down what I think went well, what didn't go well, where the room for improvement is, things that we should look at for next year. And they're like, okay, cool. And so the Friday after Thanksgiving, when I was like really just able to focus in, I was like, all right. And I sent them like a whole 2-page document of this is what I think went well, what didn't go well, what I'd like to see, and we're supposed to sit. I don't know if we'll sit down this year, but maybe early next year, and we'll just kind of go over it because obviously with the holidays and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think it's really awesome that, like, you're making a point to say, "Okay, this is what worked, and then these are the things that we can do better." Because that was your 2nd year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
yeah,
So,
so, like, you're still early in the process, and I think you did an amazing job this year and last year. So
mm,
it was, like, really cool to see, like, where it is now and then plans for the future to make it grow.
yeah, because it was one of those interesting things where I was talking to a few people. This year we didn't raise as much money as we did last year, but last year, what people tend to forget about that whole process was last year it was over 3 days for 18 hours a day.
Mhm.
So just the content and just kind of being in front of everybody, and plus I think we had 80 some artists the first time around. So it was like
Oh,
three
wow,
day,
yeah.
so we had a whole bunch of artists and whatnot. And so there's
Mhm.
more overall eyes, all that stuff. But this year, even though our total donations were down, the donations per the dollars per donation was up. So it was like we were getting or we were getting more donations at a lesser amount per person. So we were getting more
Okay.
donators, but so that was kind of an interesting
Yeah.
thing. And then yeah, so
Cool.
there was a lot of I did a lot of analytics into it, and I'm like, okay, so this was up, this like everything was up across like other than the total amount, everything else was up across the board. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, we just got to kind of find that sweet spot because I don't want to do 3 days in a row. Like that's
Yeah.
going to kill me. It wasn't fun the first
Yeah, what
time.
I was like, I could tell, like, you seemed a little tired. And I was like, I couldn't, like, never, like, shout out to you for doing it because I'd be, like, passed out by, like, halfway through.
Well, it's funny because my goal with the podcast, and I'm trying to just kind of find the right time to do it, is there is a Guinness World Record for the longest live streamed podcast,
Mm.
and it's like 56 hours or something.
Oh,
And
wow.
so basically, it's just like the longest continuous streamed podcast, and it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily have to be me. It just has to be the same stream with the same basic content, and you can kind of jump in and out with different guests,
Yeah.
but there is limitations to that stuff, and I'm like, one of these days we'll get there. So,
Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, so let's kind of jump into you and what you got going on. I know we mentioned it earlier. You got a new single that's out, "Winter Cold," dropped last Friday. How long have you been working on this project?
So this is really interesting. So what I like to do is I like to release an original Christmas song every year, and this is my third one.
Hmm.
And what I started to do was I would write the Christmas single for the next year during Christmas. So like I wrote this Christmas song last Christmas, and I'm going to write a Christmas song this Christmas for next year.
Nice, nice.
And this song actually came from I did a course with Andrea Stolpe, and I've done quite a few things with her retreats and other classes. And it was called the 30-minute songwriter, and it ran from like the end of November to the end of December
Hmm.
last year. And I was like right in the time when I wanted to write a Christmas song. And so I got the idea for the song during that class, and I wrote like most of it during that class, and then obviously revised and finished it up earlier, like at the beginning of this year. And I just loved it so much, and I was really excited to record it. And just seeing the song come to life in the studio was really amazing because piano is my main instrument. So anytime I get to play live piano on the actual piano, not a keyboard, but the actual piano is
Hmm.
really special for me. And I did the piano in one take. And then my producer's son, Brett, is incredible with saxophone. So I got him to play saxophone on it. And that was the first time I had saxophone on any of my tracks. So just the whole thing felt very festive, very fun. And we actually recorded it in July. So it's like a Christmas in July kind of
Yeah,
thing. It was really hot out. And it's really ironic because the song is called Winter Cold and it's like 1,000 degrees outside.
yeah.
But it was really fun. And I'm so happy it's out. And I hope everybody likes it.
Awesome, awesome. We were yesterday for the first day of 25 Days of Christmas. We were having this exact conversation about the struggle of actually writing Christmas music and kind of trying to find the right time frame because it's like it's really hard to get into the Christmas mood and start writing Christmas music in July, August, but you don't necessarily want to write it the previous Christmas, and then they're like, there's a whole thing, but
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting that you prepare for the next year, the previous year. That's kind
Yeah.
of cool, and
Yeah, 'cause I like being in the mood, like, the tree's up, my room has all these decorations, I'm in the mood, and I think too, like, when I'm recording my music, whenever I'm working on my next project, I always, like, find the Christmas song to be like, "Oh, when we're in the middle of doing tracks for projects, this is something we can work on." So I like having it ready to go, so when I'm, like, booking my studio sessions, it's like, "Oh, we have, like, an open time here for recording. Let's do the Christmas song now." Because what people like need to realize that it's like, oh, like November rolls around and somebody wants to write a Christmas song to release. Well, you got to write it, then you got to record it. So you can't really wait until the holiday season comes to get it because there's not
mm,
enough time. So I
yeah,
try to like do it the year before and then just have all year to figure out when best to record it and then go do that.
yeah, for sure. Because I've definitely seen some musicians that'll do it like they'll be writing it in October, end of October, beginning of November, but they just have that ability to go. They have the ability, the money, the whatever to
Mhm.
once November hits, it's like, okay, the song's ready. Let's go record it, and we'll have it out by December 1 or
Yeah.
whatever that first
That was stressing
Thursday.
me out.
Yeah, what's that?
It would stress me out writing something like end of October, November, and getting it out because
Mm,
I like to let my songs sit for a while and like see if they're how I like it. So just the thought of like writing something and releasing it 2 months later, not for me.
I feel it. It's it's different strokes for different folks. It's some people can do it, some people can't. I see it
Yeah,
a lot more frequently with musicians that are doing like cover songs. They'll go
yeah,
right in like November, but with writing music, you just never know when something's gonna hit. So
yeah, for sure.
it might be a Christmas in July situation. Um,
Yeah.
so with Winter Cold out, it's been out for about actually exactly a week, coming up here in a couple hours. What's kind of the plan moving forward? Are you already looking at the next release after Christmas, or are you going to just kind of focus in on the Christmas song for next year?
So I think like Winter Code is my last release of the year.
Hmm.
So that's my last release of 2022. I released a lot of music this year, and I have a studio session booked for December 30th, and
Hmm.
I'm going to start working on new material for a new project. So I think like in terms of songwriting this month, I definitely want to focus on the Christmas song, of course, for next
Hmm.
year.
Yeah.
And then really going over the songs I'm going to start recording in December to make sure those are all good and ready to go. And I'm also going to be doing another cover song. It's
Nice.
still a surprise, but earlier this year I released a cover of Homecoming Queen by Kelsey Ballerini, and it's still doing amazing. And so I wanted to do another cover. So that's probably going to be my first release of next year as I sort out my original music.
Hmm.
So that's coming. And then I'm working on new material for an EP or mini album, depending. So lots more music coming next year, but I'm just ready to focus more on the writing
Hmm.
and get ready for what's to come.
Nice. Are you doing any shows this Christmas season, or not really?
Not really. I don't know if I mentioned this on this show before or not, but I prefer the writing and recording to performing live. I consider
Hmm.
myself more to be a songwriter. So I do play live quite a bit. Like I played a lot this summer. But if I would have to choose between like writing and recording and performing, it'd be the writing. So
Mm.
I'm not doing any performances this Christmas, but I do have things scheduled for next year already that I'm going to be playing live. So I'm really excited for those.
Nice. That's cool. That's really cool. And so, for anybody that hasn't had a chance to listen to Winter's Cold or Winter Cold, obviously winter is cold. What am I talking about? Uh, but for anybody that hasn't had a chance to listen to Winter Cold, it's up on all the major streaming platforms. They can pretty much get it anywhere.
Yeah, you can get it anywhere. I'm on all the platforms, Jimmy Michelle, and I hope you love this song. It's a really special song to me that I think touches on some parts of the holiday season that aren't talked about as much, which is that Christmas is a very festive time, obviously, but it can also bring up some melancholy emotions for some of us for various reasons. And so this song kind of touches on how I have a lot of hopes and dreams and goals for myself and this happiness around me that kind of is a fire that burns in my heart. It's like a metaphor for keeping out the winter cold, which is some of the not so festive emotions that can come up. So I hope this song resonates with a lot of people because I know that the holidays can be difficult in
Mm.
many ways for people. So I hope this
Yeah,
song can be a comfort.
100%. So, since it is the Christmas season, I do have some Christmas centric questions.
Uh-oh.
What is one of your favorite memories of Christmas growing up?
Oh, definitely. My sister and I, every Christmas Eve, we put out cookies for Santa, and we also put out carrots for his reindeer, which not many people put the carrots out too, but we did the carrots. And then we always put on our pajamas and we sat
Mm.
in front of the tree or by the fireplace with the cookies and the milk too. And we got a picture every year. So that was really fun with my sister. And she's actually going to be home this year, so I might
Nice.
actually make her recreate a picture, and we might do that. We'll see.
That's funny. That's awesome. I remember growing up, we did the cookies and the milk, and then I think it was after the Santa Claus. After the Santa Claus came out, we started putting out the carrots for the reindeer because I think in that movie they mentioned or something about carrots. So
Oh, that's funny.
yeah,
That would make
um,
the reindeer. Or
yeah,
the reindeer the carrots. Not the
yeah.
carrots the reindeer. Oh my gosh, that wouldn't make any sense.
And then obviously right now Christmas movies are a big thing. What's one of your favorite Christmas movies?
Home Alone, hands down.
Really?
That's my favorite. It's so funny. That's definitely my favorite. Polar Express is a close second,
Mm,
but Home Alone is always the favorite.
yeah, I just watched Polar Express for the first time last year. It
Oh
was
my god, the first time? What
it,
have
it
you
was
done?
no, it's not because I didn't know it existed. It was just one of those things where it was like I I I just it didn't appease to me. And last year, I think it was like on Black Friday, they had a bunch of Christmas DVDs like on sale, and I was like, okay, started buying some of them, and I think that one was like $5 maybe, and I was like, okay, I'll
Oh, wow.
throw it in there and add it to the Christmas collection and what have you. And I sat down and watched it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
It's really good. I
So,
I love this song. I think it plays during the credits, Believe by Josh Groban. It's
mm,
such a good song. It's so good.
yep, yep. Home Alone's another good one. That's a classic every year. That's a must. It's to me, it's one of those things where yes, it takes place during Christmas,
Mhm.
but it kind of falls in that Die Hard category for me. Whereas, like, is it a Christmas movie? Isn't it? But
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, it is what it is. But I'd say for me, ooh, there's so many classics. It'd have to be A Christmas Story, just because that's the one I've
Okay,
watched.
yeah, that's a good one.
That's the one I've watched every year
Okay.
for forever and a day. So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah. And then they just came out with the sequel for it, and that's an interesting one. So,
Yeah.
but no, that's cool. And then what are your plans this year for Christmas? Are you just spending it with your family?
Yeah, definitely my sister's coming home, so I'm gonna see her, and we might go away somewhere for Christmas nearby. Just like my dog and my sister's dog both gonna be here too, so we might do a little family road trip somewhere. We're still determining that, but definitely spending it with my family and my friends as well. So yeah.
Gotcha. And so yeah, no, that's cool. It's it's interesting, like getting to travel during Christmas. It's I as long as I can drive, I'm usually pretty okay with it because I hate flying during Christmas because it that's just like the worst. If flying any other time is fine, but the last 2 years that I've flown somewhere for Christmas, I always get stuck behind the screaming baby, and everything's super packed and like crowded, and I'm cramped in a corner. And it's like, yeah, it gets me there in a tenth of the time, but driving, I could take my time. I can, I'm in control. And if I just,
Yeah.
like, if the family's getting on my nerves or whatever it is, hey, guess what? I got my car. I can leave.
Yeah,
So,
no, I can empathize completely with the flying on Christmas because before the pandemic, we went to Key West one year, but we flew
mm,
home on Christmas Eve. And then another year, I believe we were in St. Thomas, one of
oh,
the
well.
Virgin Islands. And both times we came home, the one time there was like the air on the plane broke. I kid you not. And like it was, they were passing out like wet cloths for us to put on our heads because it
Mm,
was like sweating on the plane. And the other time there was something wrong with the plane we were supposed to get on, so we had to switch planes, and then it was like running behind schedule. And the pilot was like so mad. He's like, I just want to get home because he lived in Pittsburgh too. So he's like, I want
mm,
to get home for Christmas, and like all this stuff's going on. So I completely agree. Like flying during Christmas is always
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah. And my dad's a pilot, so he's like all about flying. He's like, oh, fly, fly as much as you can. And it's like, Dad, you're a like they treat you different with the way he's like, oh, it's amazing. And it's like he flew from he came out here to Texas to visit me back in October, so he flew from Miami or Fort Lauderdale because he lives in South Florida, and he flew to Austin, Texas, because I was in San Antonio at the time, and I was going to drive back here to Waco. And he was just like, "Man, I don't know why I don't fly more often. I loved it. It was amazing." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what happened?" Oh, like because they saw that I was that I used to, because he used to fly for Spirit Airlines, so he gets
Yeah,
free flights for life because
yeah.
that's just one of the benefits. He's like, "Yeah, they saw that I was a captain and that I used to fly there, and they bumped me up to first class." And I'm like, "Well, that's why you enjoyed it. You were in
That's
first class. You're
so
sitting there
good.
with seats as big as sofas."
That's so good. Oh my
Jeez.
gosh.
It's like, but you don't get to experience us
Mm-mm.
sardine can people in the back just all bunched up together. Like, yeah, it was it was funny. He started laughing. He had a good laugh
That's
about it,
funny.
but
Yeah.
so but it is what it is. So so Winter Cold is out now. People can get it. Do you have any plans of doing a music video for it, or is that not kind of
No, not
no?
for this. I still
No.
haven't done a music video. It's been a whole thing. Like I wanted to do a music video for one of the songs on my EP. It is what it
Mm,
is. Every time you say it is what it is, I try not to laugh because that's the name of my EP. You know? But no, I wanted to do a music video for that, but like it was impossible to find somebody who was like reliable. Then like people didn't know what they were doing, and it just wasn't good quality. Like things I was seeing, and I was like, I'm not investing in something that's not going to turn out good. So it just hasn't happened at the right time
mm,
yet. I definitely want to do a music video at some point, but I think doing it for a song that isn't Christmas would give it
mm,
a wider reach because holiday songs, like people only listen to it really during the holidays.
mm.
So I wanted to do it for another one. But yeah,
Gotcha.
Winter Cold is a very special song to me. So I hope everybody likes it.
Awesome. And I just want to clarify, I am not saying it is what it is to be funny. Like that is literally a phrase that comes out of my mouth 3 to 10 times a day. That phrase comes
I
out of my
know,
mouth.
me too. It's so
It
funny. So many people say it, and it's really funny because that's the name of the project.
it's what really makes it funny is people get mad when I say it, and I'm like, it's true though. Like, yeah, okay, I can't do that. It is what it is. Like, you can't change. Like when you can't change something, there's no
Yeah.
better way to phrase it than
Mhm.
it is what it is.
Yeah, that's why like that was the perfect title for my project. And somebody did say to me, they're like, that's such a common phrase. I said, yeah, that's such a common phrase, but it captures the essence of this project perfectly and everybody says it. So like that's like my project and it's like a very well-known phrase. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
100%. 100%. And hopefully catch a little of that Google SEO where people type in it is what it is. Mm, You know, it works. It plays.
Funny.
But I do want to thank you for jumping on here and chatting with me for a little bit. If anybody wants to check out Winter Cold or It Is What It Is or any of your projects or just interact with you on social media, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so everything is on my website, which is demimschwartz.com. That's DEMIMSCHWARTZ.com. My handle on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and YouTube is the same thing at Demi Schwartz. And literally everything is on my website. My music, my podcast, blog, shop, how to contact me. It's all right there.
Awesome, awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for
Of
coming
course.
in at the last minute. I was stressing a little bit. I'm sitting there. I knew I had you like we had talked a couple days ago and kind of laid it out like if something changes that we'll get you in.
Yeah.
And because I knew in the back of my head I was like somebody's gonna back out. Like, I
Yeah.
don't go through a month of podcasts without at least one person backing out. And if like if somebody doesn't back or if nobody backs out, cool, great. Like I didn't lose, like whatever. But
Yeah.
knowing how the podcast goes, somebody is going to back out. It is
Oh,
going to
well, I'm happy
happen.
it
So
worked out.
but glad we were able to get you in and chat and just kind of hang out a little bit.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you all later.
Bye.